Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Unmuted Love. Today, I am sharing with you one of my, at this point, favorite people on the planet, Mandy Jones-Fischer. And she's here to talk with my listeners about Theraplay and also other things that she's interested in doing. But for right now, what I want to do is focus on Theraplay because I talk about it so much to all of you, and all of you are like, well, what is that? And how is it different from play therapy and all those things? And so Mandy is here to make you an expert in how to look for a Theraplay specialist in your area. Mandy, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. It's a great day. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. You have my favorite t-shirt on right now. I love this t-shirt. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's nice and simple. Just play.
Just play. Yeah.
Play.
Love play.
Love play. Exactly.
Yeah. So I am going to read my introduction of you because you are really so accomplished in so many things.
Oh, thank you.
So Mandy is an LCSW. I'm not going to say all those other things.
That's fair.
RPT-S JD. She's awesome. She's an attorney, right? That's so weird. And she's a certified Theraplay Practitioner, trainer, and supervisor. She has extensive training in sand tray, which we are not going to talk about today, but we might talk about how it differs from Theraplay. And she has worked exclusively with adoptive and foster families since she began her career. She takes a particular interest in helping families with young children form strong attachments and work through sensory concerns. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there because the rest goes into something we're not going to talk about today. So there you go.
Okay.
So Mandy does a lot of other things that she's going to tell you about at the end of the podcast. But for right now, let's go with Theraplay. So those of you who have been listening to my podcast for a long time or who are in the Love Matters parenting program, you know that I almost always recommend Theraplay when someone asks me, what kind of therapy should I do with my child who has attachment challenge and trauma? And I always say, well, I want you to start with Theraplay. And I don't want you to confuse Theraplay with play therapy. And so even though it is play therapy too, but it's not called play therapy, it's called Theraplay, and that it has a different spelling and also a different meaning. So Mandy, yay. Talk about Theraplay a little bit. You can say more about how come you're so skilled in it because you were so important in the Theraplay Institute.
I've been around for a bit. Yeah. So I'll answer your first question first. So what is Theraplay? What makes it unique from or different from play therapy? So Theraplay is a type of play therapy. There are a whole bunch of different types, different theories behind it, different training, different science. And so Theraplay, what makes it unique is that it is based on the interactions that occur between parent and child naturally. The interactions that occur where parents and child end up having a secure attachment, where they have a good connection. Basically, the families who never end up coming in to see me and you as therapists, the parents and child where everything's going great. What went right in those families? And for families who didn't have that optimal experience, let's recreate it for them in the course of therapy. That then leads to that secure attachment. And then we really use that as the jumping off point for all therapeutic, well, maybe not all, but many therapeutic needs is the strength of the parent-child relationship that then brings about change.
Right. So our kids who come from difficult beginnings, and for most of my listeners, these are adopted children,
Right.
Their early attachment relationship was severed or ruptured, and now they're living in homes that are perfectly loving homes.
Sure.
But when your attachment gets ruptured in the early phases of your life, your trust gets injured, right? It's like an emotional injury that occurs right there at the get-go.
Yep.
Now, it might not occur right there in the hospital. It might be 3 months, 6 months, 5 years down the road, but it's still a rupture in that original attachment relationship.
Right.
And so kids who come to us actually come with their trust harmed versus birthing your own child and that your child is born, they come into your arms. And if there's no trauma in the process, then basically you meet most of their needs and their trust is intact because you meet most of their needs. It's kind of that basic, right? It's all hardwired in our neural net to do what we're supposed to do when a baby pops out.
Right.
And then the baby's systems wire the way they're supposed to so that the babies can have developmental success and go through the milestones the way they're supposed to.
Right.
They feel safe in the arms of their parents. They feel like they're the best thing since sliced bread, as I say. That becomes part of who they are at the core of their being.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, or you had that with someone else, and now you're living with another person who loves you, but now you have a little emotional block to that because, well, you could lose it again, or it's not the right person, doesn't feel the same in terms of connectedness. And then when you go down the road to having more just regular relationship, if that trust does not develop and become strong, it can fragilely break up and then have trouble down the road.
Yeah, agreed with everything you said. And I'll add that even children who are adopted at birth, let's say adopted parents are in the hospital, that's still an attachment disruption,
Right.
right? Because attachment begins in utero. And so itty bitty babies have, for however long they're in their cooking, whether they make it to full term, they've had 9 months of connection with the person who's having them, right? They know the sound of their voice. They know the cadence of their walk. They know the sway of their body. They know the sound of their heartbeat. And when itty bitty babies are born, whoever's holding them, their heartbeats sync to whoever's holding them. And that doesn't have to be skin to skin contact. That's even through clothing. And so babies' bodies are hardwired those first 9 months to have their system sync to their mother in utero. And then when they are born, then adoptive parents, their bodies just naturally are different, right? Different heartbeats, different digestive systems, different breathing patterns. And babies' bodies aren't wired to that person. The wonderful thing is that we can heal this. These attachment disruptions, we can go back and rewire that connection, rewire the brain, rewire the body to have that felt safety that then leads to trust in the context of that relationship. And I think that's something that really makes Theraplay unique from other types of play therapy. That other types of play therapy, even if they're attachment focused, don't necessarily do that the same way. They don't include parents in every session. They don't really focus on that early intervention the same way. So even play therapy modalities that have an attachment focus are different from Theraplay in that parents aren't necessarily involved in every step of the way. And so many of them are still talk-based or using toys, which itty-bitty babies aren't forming attachment through talk. Itty-bitty babies aren't forming attachment through toys. We're not bringing out cars and dolls and kitchen sets and Lego. We're forming connection through our facial expressions, through the cadence of our conversation. And when we talk to our itty bitty babies, it's not for the purpose of expecting a response, right? It's for organizing our own thoughts of like, oh my goodness, you found your tongue? Where's that tongue of yours? I'm not expecting my baby to be like, it's right here, mom. Right? Like it's for organizing the play, it's for organizing our interactions rather than for the expectation of a verbal response. And so Theraplay does that very same thing, which is wonderful because we can use Theraplay at any age. It is great. We can do stuff in utero if we have a parent comes into our room who is maybe at risk for having attachment disruptions because they themselves have had attachment disruptions. Or we can use it all the way into old age when we have clients who maybe have dementia or aphasia and are no longer able to speak, but we know that if we have this type of touch and play and connection, people live longer lives and we can use it across the lifespan. And I think, obviously, I'm gushing about it, but these are some of the things that make Theraplay really unique and special.
It is special.
Yeah.
One of the things that's special about it is what you said in the beginning is that it's with parent and child, no matter the age of the child. It's not this thing where the child of any age goes away with the therapist, has a relationship with the therapist, and then gets sent home with the parent. I'm like, what are we doing? Now, I realize that there are some therapies where that's helpful.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
when we're talking about attachment rupture that's pre-verbal, this is the only way to go, in my opinion. It's
Mine too.
this very attached way of playing, right? And the play, regardless of the age, is going to be very much focused on that interaction between people, right? Between parent and child from those very early experiences, because that's where felt safety begins, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's how it gets built. And if it got ruptured felt safety got ruptured.
100%. Yeah. The other thing that's really cool about Theraplay is that it was actually founded in the Head Start program in Chicago in the 1960s. And so this is not new stuff. We've been doing this for a long time, but what is really unique about it as well is that if the child is in a situation where they don't have a central adult as a parent figure, but let's say they're in the classroom, right? Most of our kids are going to school, and maybe parents are struggling with their own mental health, or they're struggling with addiction, or they're struggling with holding down 5 jobs to keep, food on the table. And this feels like an extra, even though we as attachment professionals know it's not. But the reality of life sets in. And what's really cool about their place, we've also adapted it for the classroom called Sunshine Circles.
Mhm.
We've adapted it for groups. So if there isn't access to a caregiver, we can facilitate felt safety with other trusted adults. It's not the same. I'm not saying that a teacher is going to take the same place as a parent by any means, but we can give this experience of what a safe, nurturing relationship feels like. So when a child who maybe has an attachment disruption with their parent figure has the ability to identify that in other aspects of their life because they've had that with someone, and they know what it feels like, and they know what felt safety can be like,
Mhm.
and to then seek that out in future relationships. And so it really is a dynamic intervention that can be used in a wide variety of settings, whether it's in hospitals, it's in aftercare programs, it's in YMCAs, it's in daycares, and all of that is just so beneficial for our kids.
Yeah, so much so. So let me just take a little segue to say that this is the birthday month of the founder of Theraplay, Phyllis Booth. So happy
Yeah.
birthday to Phyllis Booth.
Yeah.
And maybe she's 100 years old.
She's turning 100 on Sunday. Sunday, the Ides of March, March 15th.
Yeah, 100 years old. So
100 years.
did I say February?
I don't
No, I
remember.
think I just said month because I
This month.
because
Yes,
for a
March.
second I'm like, you just said March but it's because in my mind I'm still in February. That's the problem.
Fair.
So yes, so on the 15th, she's going to be 100 years old, and she is one of the most delightful people I've ever had the privilege of watching work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I think I watched her work when she was in her 70s, probably. And I'm like, this woman is so spry. She's on the floor playing with all these little kids in this Theraplay
Yeah.
kind of way. It was just delightful to watch. And so I
Yes.
had the opportunity to see that early, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to be like her. Until I couldn't. And I'm like, how did she stay on the floor all those years? I don't
I have
know. I had to get off
oh,
the
I
floor.
have I have some insight for you on that.
Oh, okay.
I'm very fortunate. Phyllis and she lives in Chicago. I'm in Chicago, so we're able to meet up semi-regularly. She's become a mentor, a very good friend of mine. And so I asked her this very early on in my relationship with her of like, how have you done it for as long as you have? And a couple of things. She said, commitment to lifelong learning, never stop shaping your mind, never stop challenging your beliefs. Another one is this one believes very, very deeply in the power of healing touch. She has a massage therapist who comes to her house once a week and has for as long as I have known her. She believes very, very strongly in massage therapy and just touch in general. And so that's another thing that I think makes Theraplay unique is the amount of touch that's included.
Mhm.
The other thing is that she's very big into yoga. For most of her life until recently, she's really into moving her body, bending her body, not necessarily about weight training. Maybe she did that another chapter in her life. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. We didn't speak about that, but yoga and being able to move and balance and the mindfulness that comes from staying present, staying playful, staying curious. And I think, man, those are some pretty good life lessons and ones that are highly achievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely achievable. It's not like you have to go live in one of the blue zones, right? You can
Right.
just
I
live
mean, that
right
would be
here in
lovely.
Chicago.
Right. Yeah, but she's very special. I'm also really fortunate, like you, to have been trained by her. She completed my certification when I became a practitioner. I have delivered trainings alongside her. Actually, a number of years ago, she and I did a webinar together called Decoding Your Child's Behavior with Stage-Wise Parenting. And this month, Stage-Wise Parenting in recognition of her birthday is offering $5 off, and I am giving another $5 off for the first 25 users who add in my code of Phyllis100. So bringing this program to $10. And that's meant for adoptive parents, though any parent can benefit from this program that Phyllis and I put on. So your listeners as well could also be personally impacted by the brilliance of the one and only Phyllis Booth.
Oh, that's so great, everybody. Do that.
Yeah,
Go there and do that.
that.
What an opportunity. I mean, she's 100 years old, you know?
She is.
I mean, maybe she'll make it to a 200, but, you know,
We
the
don't
power
know.
of play and yoga and
Yes.
massage.
And massage and touch. Yes. And curiosity and learning, all of those things.
Yeah, so nice.
Yeah.
So thank you for talking about that. Anyway, happy birthday, Phyllis. I'm so glad you're still on the planet. We need more people like you on the planet.
Oh my
Staying
gosh, you're
on.
right. It'd be such a different world if we were all surrounded by Phil. I go back and forth. So my grandma, who is also still with us, she's 94, is also named Phyllis. And so together I call them my Phili. And so I have pictures of both of them together at my wedding. I'm like in the middle of a Phyllis sandwich. But yes, the world would be a great place. It was all filled with Phili.
Yeah, it would. It would be nice. Philly world. Yeah, I like.
Phili world.
So let's go back into the Theraplay conversation. So let's talk specifically about what Theraplay actually looks like in its domains and
Yeah.
what, you know, how it unfolds basically in and you can go all the way back to doing the MEMS and all of that. Let's just start there. Like if somebody comes into your office and
Yep.
they are seeking Theraplay, what will it look like?
So if they're seeking Theraplay, the first thing they're going to do is parents are going to meet with me one-on-one. Well, if it's two-parent household, they'll meet with me at the same time. I want to make that a little bit clearer. I want to get an in-depth history. I want to understand this family's functioning. I want to understand how the parents came together. How did they play when they first started dating if it's a two-parent household? I want to know about child's development in utero. Was this a wanted pregnancy? Was this an oops? Was this a happy accident? Was this an unwanted pregnancy? Because babies feel all of that. I want to know about those 9 months in utero. I want to know what mom was going through if we know that information. I want to know about the delivery. I want to know what it was like when baby first came home. I want to know if there was NICU. I want to know as much as I possibly can leading up to today, because all of those points in time live in our body, the good, the bad, the otherwise. And so if I know that, that's going to help me to form an idea of how we move forward in our treatment together. The next appointment is going to be the MIM, the Marshak Interaction Method. As you said, is sometimes called the MIM. The Phyllis will very clearly tell you, no, it is the MIM. The number of times she corrects on that, and she is the authority. So that's drilled in my head. It's the MIM. It's a series of activities that the parent and child come into the room and play together. It's fun. It's silly, or at least it should be. The therapist isn't in the room, but the session is recorded. And the parent and therapist will then meet together for the third session and go over what happened in the MIM. And this is where the MIM, and from all of our conversations forward, Theraplay is premised on 4 dimensions of connection between parent and child: structure, engagement, nurture, and challenge. All of the activities in the MIM help the therapist pinpoint within the parent-child relationship where there are strengths and where there are areas of need across those 4 dimensions. I'm guessing you want me to go a little bit into what those 4 dimensions are?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So structure is the first one. Though, mind you, this is not a hierarchy between the 4 dimensions. They play in concert with one another. This just happens to be the acronym that we all keep in our heads of the order that we talk about them in. So structure. Structure is creating predictability. As humans, we don't do well with the unknown. Thinking about even your day to day, if someone throws an appointment on your calendar that you weren't planning for, you're like, excuse me, no, I'm not ready. Right? Like all the way down to if I had to figure out dinner. Oh my gosh, that's so much work to do every single day. But if I plan it over the weekend, it makes my week go much easier when I know what's coming. So from the small, mundane to the really big stuff, right? Babies and kids are no different, and babies don't come out of the womb with an iCalendar or Google Calendar telling them where they need to be and what they need to do. But parents instinctively know this, that when they bring baby home, they need to get them onto an eating schedule and a sleeping schedule. That's largely for parents' sanity, because parents need to eat and sleep and shower too. But what this does is it organizes baby's day. I know, okay, once I get onto the schedule, it takes time. We recognize that. But okay, every time I cry, my parent is going to come into the room. They're going to pick me up with the same face. They're going to hold me to their chest. They're going to bounce me. They're going to coo to me. They're going to talk to me. They're going to check my diaper. Then we're going to go change the diaper. During the changing of the diaper, my parent is going to talk or sing to me. Then after the changing of the diaper, we're going to go out to the living room. And then in the living room, we're going to look out the window. And then my parent is going to give me some warm snuggles until I wake up some more. And then I'm going to play for a little bit. I'm going to do that awful, terrible tummy time thing. But my parents going to lay on the floor with me during it. And then I have a bottle. And then I take a nap. And then rinse and repeat. So babies start to organize their day and their experience of, my parents have made the world a safe place and it's predictable. And that creates felt safety. When I know what's coming next, that allows me to feel secure in my world because of the organization. So it's from your scheduling of your day to your expectations, to the way you tell a child to do something versus asking them. That creates more predictability. All right, it's time to go to school. Put your shoes on. One of the things that I spend a lot of time working on with parents is we often shift our language to, do you want to put your shoes on? When it's not a choice. Sorry, kiddo, you got to put your shoes on. We got to go to school. This is not a place where you have a choice. And if as a parent I frame it as a choice, I lost structure. I've lost the predictability that shoes are going on, our butts are going out the door, and off to school we go. So that's structure. Second is engagement. Engagement is this ability to truly be present in the moment, to see the child in front of me, not the child that I hope they are, or the child that they're going to be, or the child that they once were, but the kiddo in front of me right here, right now. Theraplay isn't necessarily dubbed as a mindfulness treatment, but by the necessity of being present in the moment, it does lead to being a mindfulness practice of, oh my goodness, I see that you brought your 10 beautiful fingers with you today. Oh my gosh, and that one has purple all on the outside of it. Look at all that creativity you brought with you today. So I'm noticing, I'm seeing you, and I'm seeing you not for the performative things that you've done. So often kids get attention, positive or negative, because they have performed, whereas itty bitty babies get attention from us because they are wonderful just for being. You got these 10 great toes, my love. Oh my gosh, look at you. You don't have to do anything to earn my attention for those 10 great toes. They just exist. And so as kids get older, we want to make sure that we're still noticing them for them and who they are without having to perform or achieve. The next one being nurture. When babies are itty bitty, so much of what we're doing is nurture. We are soothing, we are cooing, we are singing, we are rocking, we're feeding, we're changing diapers, we're paying attention to temperature. So much is focused on the caregiving. And as kids get older, they still need caregiving, but they need it to look different. And so when a kid comes to me and they're like, I have an ouchie here, and I take a look, I'm like, I see nothing. But that to me is an indication that the child is saying something hurts inside of me. It takes me seconds and pennies to put a Band-Aid on every single time a child says, I have an ouchie right here, for me to just notice, oh my goodness, that must really hurt. I'm going to take care of it. Without the long explanation of who hurt you, how did you get hurt, did you fall, what would make it better? No, I know what's going to make it better. Me paying attention to it, me noticing, me validating. And that's such comfort and care for a child. And so still feeding. So in Theraplay sessions, you can expect that there's always going to be feeding, but let me be clear, it's not bottle feeding. That's weird. This is going to be age-appropriate snacks, kids things love, though I will always have a drink with a straw in it because that's going to model the same structures, the muscle structures in the mouth of sucking, which is really down-regulating and really calming. But it's through what's age-appropriate, whether it's a sports bottle with a suction lid, or if it's an itty-bitty kid, then I might still have a sippy cup that they have to suck through, or just, a cup with a straw. The snacks are just going to be whatever kids like because that feeding is so nourishing. And our last dimension, challenge. Challenge is that as the grown-ups in our kids' lives, we're the first ones to set the stage for self-esteem, self-confidence, and competence. I can do this, and I'm going to be okay if I fail, or if I try something new and it doesn't go as I had planned. It's not going to shatter me. And so it's setting the expectations for my child such that they have to work a little bit to achieve, but the bar isn't set so high that they consistently fail. So it's finding that sweet spot for the parent of what is the developmental functioning of the kiddo in front of me, And then as the parent giving so much praise and positive feedback for even trying. And that then leads the child to have this inner sense of, I am strong. I am confident. I am confident. Yes, I can do that. And if I fail at it, it's okay. I can bounce back from that. So these 4 dimensions play in concert with one another. I realize I've been babbling for a minute, so I'm going to pause there in case you have questions or feedback or adding in your own thoughts on that.
No, I love that. I mean, that you did a great job of explaining all the domains, and what it looks like is like structured play. And the therapist, right, is facilitating the structured play between the parent and the child. And it's really just fun. Like
Yes.
yeah. And you get to just be present and
Yes.
fun with your child without a lot of, oh, don't do that or do this or, oh,
Great.
yeah, or even thinking about it, right? It's somebody else's directing, so you just are in the moment too, which is a lovely experience for parents.
Yes. Sometimes by the time parents are coming into my office, things have been so hard for so long that they don't like their kids.
Mhm.
And that's real. That's hopefully the first thing that I can start to facilitate. It's going to take a long time to heal. But if you have a few moments a week where you start to see something positive in your kid because you see it through the lens of a therapist who hasn't been through all the hard stuff that you have been through, that's powerful. To be like, wow, I see some beautiful things in my kid again. I'm starting to like them again. That that shifts a lot.
No, it really does. I find it interesting, right? How, as a therapist, I can see all the great things about a child. And I know it's because I only see them 1 hour a week.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I can delight in them and I can demonstrate delight in them. And it is contagious delight. And engaging with kids in a delightful way because you can helps a parent go, oh, I see that. I see that that's delightful. It is fun.
Yes.
And some of the time it's not fun at all, right? But
Oh, yeah, that's true.
in here we're going to engage in a fun way, in a way that actually does feel good and brings us joy, which
Yes.
does go missing sometimes along the way. So there's a lot in it for parents. It's not just for the child.
Right.
Therapy is not for the child. It's for the relationship between the parent and the child, right?
Yeah. And I'm gonna give you a little secret. Actually, more of our work is with the parents than with the kids.
I know.
So, in the modality you asked 10 minutes ago or so, the flow. So, we do the intake appointment, we do the MIM, we do a parent feedback on the MIM to talk about, okay, this is what I'm seeing across those 4 dimensions. This is going to be the focus of our work. This is the direction I think we should go. But also, I want to hear your feedback as parent. So, that's going to be the 3rd session. 4th session is going to be a parent demonstration session. And some parents get a little about this, that I'm going to actually play these activities with just the parents without the child present, because if parents can't play, that's a starting point for us. And some parents didn't have opportunities to play in their child for a wide variety of reasons. And so I want parents to have that restorative, that healing experience for themselves that is separate from their child but has an impact on their child. And then it's finally at the 5th session is when I'm going to start working with you and your kiddo at the earliest. We're then going to have, typically, things can shift for a number of reasons, but this is the typical protocol, is 3 play sessions, a parent feedback session. 3 play sessions, a parent feedback session. If it's a 2-parent household, we'll flop usually a series of 6 play sessions typically before we'll swap to the other parent. But in those parent feedback sessions, we'll have both parents involved if it's a 2-parent household. All of our sessions are recorded. And so during those parent feedback sessions, we're going to use the videos to talk about what's going on in session, how to apply this outside of session. This is where parents can let me know this is what's going on at home. This is what we're seeing at school, because in our play sessions, we're not talking about that. We are in the here and in the now. And sometimes, of course, parents need to let me know what's going on at home and at school. And I will need to see if they're seeing any differences or changes, or if we need to make some shifts because now this factor has entered into the family's functioning and dynamic. And so that parent feedback work is so essential so parents are able to adapt this for their lives, because when parents are able to make these shifts and parents are able to heal, then my job is done. And I want to empower parents. They're always the experts in their children. And if I can give this to parents, then they no longer need me. Therapists are in a bit of an odd profession in that we want to do our job so well that we put ourselves out of business. Like,
100%.
we don't want clients to need us forever. Of course, the reality is we'll always have work because there's another family who's going to need us. But the goal is to empower so that we're not needed anymore. And that's beautiful when that happens.
Yeah, it's really the goal. It's always the goal.
It's
Yeah.
always the goal.
Yeah. So I want to sort of shift a little bit and talk a little bit about from a Theraplay therapist perspective. Let's say I live somewhere, I'm a parent and I live somewhere where I have these challenges at home, but I really don't have any Theraplay trained people in my area. What would be your advice to me if I'm just calling for, like what should I be doing at home? I have an 8-year-old who's, won't let me hug him, won't
Mm-mm.
let me put a band-aid on a boo-boo, tells me I'll
Yeah.
do it myself. I don't need your help. I don't need a parent. I'm good. What
Yeah.
what would you say is the number one thing as a parent I could begin doing? I realize I need more help than just a consult.
Oh,
But let's just
yeah.
say I can't get the other stuff because a lot of people can't, believe it or not. A lot of
Right.
people
Oh,
can't.
I'm aware. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what how can I begin?
This isn't an easy this
No.
isn't an easy ask, and this is not an easy question because
No.
there's so many factors in it. But I think a simplistic, and this is an overly simplified answer, is as a parent to start playing the needs detective. What is underlying this behavior? Why is your child refusing the band-aid? Why is your child refusing a hug? Why are they doing the things that they're doing? Because every behavior is an expression of a need. Is it that they are having a difficult time with touch because of their sensory profile? Is it because they don't trust that touch is safe? Is it because they don't trust that you're being authentic with the touch, that there's some mocking in there, or that there's some it's less than genuine? Especially if this is something brand new that you're trying, thinking about why is my child behaving this way? Why are they functioning this way? And then thinking about what do I need to do over time? None of this is magic that it happens overnight. It takes time. And I think that's some of the really hard stuff too, is helping to recognize that there is no magic fix. There's no magic pill. There's no magic prescription of if you do this 10 times, it's magically going to work. It doesn't work that way. I
No.
wish it did.
Mhm.
Um, but patience, empathy, curiosity, all of those go so far. And let's put the cherry on top, being playful,
Mm.
being silly, that goes so far in getting kids to change their behaviors and their functioning. If you can turn something silly, that it can be silly, right? Like, I don't want to undermine feelings of pain or sadness or anger with playfulness when it's contextually not appropriate. But can I shift what which otherwise would be an argument or a disagreement? Can I shift it with some playfulness, some silliness? And that can make a world of difference.
Mhm.
The other thing I will say is that there are webinars for parents on Theraplay. There are Theraplay books that are written specifically for parents. You can get them through the Theraplay Institute. And then I don't know, I suspect there may be other practitioners around the country who are offering Theraplay intensives, but I do for parents who have the capacity, the means, which is a big ask. I'm not minimizing that, and can come to Chicago for 3 days. Myself and another therapist can do a whole lot. And it sounds intensive, and it is intensive. We can do the equivalent of about 24 sessions in 3 days. And that can give you a huge jumping off point
Yeah.
to then go home and continue some of this stuff on your own if you don't have someone near you. But I recognize, again, coming to Chicago, depending on where you're located, can be a very, very big ask.
Yeah, for sure. But what an offer, right? What a gift. So let's just take that a little bit further to say more about what you provide. You do a lot of things besides Theraplay, but let's
I do.
let's let our listeners hear what you have to offer them.
Yeah, sure. So I'm realizing that I didn't answer one of your questions from the very beginning of why Theraplay is like, who am I in the
Who
midst
are
of this?
you? Yes.
Who am I? Where am I? So, as you mentioned at the outset, I am a certified Theraplay trainer, well, practitioner, trainer, and supervisor, but I'm also the former executive director of the Theraplay Institute, and I was the training director and the program director. So I worked for the Institute for 11 years. So Theraplay is deeply ingrained in my bones. So I have a private practice in Chicago on the north side of the city where I see kids primarily under 8. Though there's another therapist in my practice who she sees kids into their teens. And I also do adult work, adults who have childhood trauma, birth loss, primarily women, though I will work with men who are, also, or however they identify, stuff around parenting, parent coaching, parent support. So I provide individual therapy, and then it's through all of the families I work with undergo the MIM, and it's from there that we work through during that parent feedback session. Is Theraplay the modality for you? I also provide child-centered play therapy, which is a very different type of play therapy. And I'm a sand tray professional. And so sand tray being another type of play therapy. And so I'll use that with some families. But that's all in my office in Chicago. I also provide supervision for therapists. So I provide Theraplay supervision, play therapy supervision, licensure supervision. So I do a lot of support of other therapists around the country, actually globally. I have a couple of supervisors who are not located in the United States. And then lastly, I train. I train other professionals on Theraplay. I train other professionals on sand tray, play therapy, attachment, trauma, adoption, all of those things. I present fairly regularly at conferences. Just last week, I was in Michigan. The week before, 2 weeks before that, I would present to that statewide conference here in Illinois. So yeah, it keeps me busy and out of trouble.
Yeah, hear that. So people can get a hold of you by going to our show notes, first of all, and all of your information is there. So don't worry if you're not remembering all the details. This is Mandy Jones-Fischer, by the way, with a C.
Yes.
S-C-H.
The difficult way of spelling Fisher.
Yes. So I just wanted to say your name again. Sometimes the names get kind of lost by the time we get to the end.
Understood.
Yeah, so you can find her in our show notes. Mandy, to just find you delightful to talk with. I can tell, like Phyllis Booth, you have some heart for play.
I do. I do.
Yes, if you're just listening, you won't know that I've just pointed to her shirt she's wearing. It's a heart with the big word spelled play in the middle. Yeah, you're very playful in your spirit, and I can tell that all this Theraplay has really rubbed off on you in the same way that Phyllis Booth has remained very playful into her practice over the years. So I'm sure we'll be seeing that in you over the years as well.
Thank you so much. That's such high praise. And it's always such a joy connecting with you. I loved being here. I'm happy to come back and just chat with you anytime. Hit the record button or not, either way.
Thank you for that. All right, everybody. Thank you again, Mandy, for your time and your love to all these kids and parents who really need love right now, the way the world is. Yeah.
It's tough out there.
I can sure see that in you.
Yeah.
So everyone, thank you for coming to Unmuted Love today to listen to Mandy and me talk about our favorite subject, which happens to be Theraplay still, maybe healing when it gets right down to it. We really want to talk about what is the best way to go about really healing some of these attachment wounds in our families that persist. And this is truly a magical way it's not magic, it's magical. And it's a way to begin healing something that got broken, but it's not broken forever and it can heal. So again, thank you for being here. And remember, your love matters when more than love is required. And I'll see you in the next episode.